I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
One of the areas that we had a really good chat about in our last episodes that I wanted to expand upon, given how prominent it is in our season story so far, is just talking about the youth and kind of that revolution. And last year, it was obviously more of the Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Callum Hudson-Odoi breakthrough kind of season. This season, kind of with those guys out injured for a large majority of it, we have a whole crop of new talent. And listening back to, I think it was March of last year, you were kind of well ahead of the curve talking about your Tammy Abrahams and the like. So wanted to get just your impression of a few of these guys, Pat, and we'll kind of rotate in on these. But first of all, we couldn't omit Billy Gilmour. We have to talk about Billy, who's everybody's favorite midfielder right now. So can you kind of give a sense of who he is as a player beyond what we've seen so far?
Well, first of all us Scottish people have known all about him since he was 14. In Scotland, it was that well known as a player coming through at Rangers because of his technical ability. Then everybody knew up here. And it was extraordinary because I can't remember the last time, I really can't, that we knew of a 14-year-old that we thought, wow, he's going to be special. Now, so if you're Scottish, we knew about it. Now, Chelsea took him a year or two later, and he went down to Chelsea, and everyone kept on asking me the same questions because he's small, he's roughly about my height. He plays centre midfield, he's quite adaptable in various things, but his technical ability is as good as anyone's you'll see. On the ball, holding the ball, he's a very modern type footballer as well, as you've seen. But when people ask me, particularly Scottish people, because I've got this link, I'm down at Chelsea, the Scottish people asking me how he's doing, and I kept on saying, yeah, it'll be a little while, there's great players in front of him. He's got Jorginho, he's got Kante, he's got Kovacic, he's got other young players coming through, but he'll get little chances over the next 2 or 3 years. Bang! There he goes in the first team. Where did that come from? I really didn't see it coming quite that quickly and Frank actually said he'd left it a few weeks longer or a few months longer than he probably should have. Because what Frank has learned through all of this, through the Reece James, through the Tomoris, through everyone, is just look at them in training and take the blinkers off. Forget the age. And I love that attitude because I spend my time doing commentaries. I go to a lot of games and I don't care who's playing. I really don't. I've watched teams before and you watch them and you think, yeah, you're a bit rubbish, you lot. And the people will say to you, what do you mean? I'm saying, that's Real Madrid, Real Madrid, you're saying, you just say what you see. And sometimes there's players and teams that have gone over the top and they're gone. And you just got to call it. But it takes a special thing to be able to look at guys and say, actually, you're not any good anymore. Or you're miles away from the player you used to be. But you need to do it the other way as well, which is you look at a youngster and go, you're unbelievably good. And it's not just because it's training, you're good. And I think the big thing that's helped for that is Jody. Jody's watched him coming through. So if Billy Gilmour comes into training and has a great day in training, Jody will be saying, well, he should play then. He's the best player in training today. He should be playing. It doesn't matter that he's younger. It doesn't matter that he's small. He's still making the tackles. He's still doing the right things. So football is or should be a meritocracy. But a lot of the time it isn't because of big names. That's not the case with Chelsea now. And nothing makes me happier. The fact that, do you know what? If you're good enough, it doesn't matter. So well done. Billy, it was always going to happen with Billy. It was always going to happen. It's not even a question. The two that I've been certain about were Tammy, definite. Billy, definite. But both of them much, much quicker than I probably thought. And certainly the start of the season for Tammy was great. But for Billy just now, the bigger problems, forget Chelsea. I want him in that Scotland team. So we need him in Scotland because we've got big games coming up. We need him. So our Scotland manager, the aforementioned Stevie Clark, and he'll be having young Billy in the team. But he's got everything. The first couple of games when we were stuck in there, the game against Liverpool, I'm sure you've watched it live. I'd love to know from each of you, was your jaw on the floor? Were you going, what? Or did you know about him anyway?
Probably.
When he rolled Fabinho, Brandon, that was the time where I was like, oh, okay, you're in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I was probably slowest or most cautious because we saw him at Grimsby Town and, some of the League Cup matches are playing lower position. But it's still phenomenal because he's a kid, playing against these lower level teams who, again, probably aren't the most technical teams. And then we'll just, for him to then literally walk into Liverpool and no one even batted an eye at, should he be there, Dan? Is this justified? Is this on merit? Or, what is this? Like, he was calm, comfortable, and well-adjusted. And then we all kind of sat and went. And then Roy Keane's comments and all these other pundits coming out as well. You're like, all right, there's some steam behind this one. This is real.
Well, it was the first time, Pat, since I think I know we kind of talk very positively about Jorginho, the contribution he's made. I think it's the first time since we had Cesc in midfield where I felt like we had someone in midfield who was consistently looking for the forward direct pass in a way, and maybe a little bit more ambitious, and maybe it's the youth, maybe it's a little bit more risk taking that he's bringing to the side. But I felt like he always knew where his next pass was going in such an instinctual way. And like you said, I think he's got a ramp that is pretty sharp heading to the top.
I'm not worried about it. Of all the players that have broken through, obviously, I put in a very different position for Billy, but there's so many things we have in common. Obviously, coming down from Scotland, expectations were limited, little guy, people think, oh, not expecting, and then suddenly you break in really quickly. But a couple of things help, and they're quite specific to Chelsea sometimes. There's a roll call of players that goes back to Charlie Cook, that goes to, obviously Gianfranco Zola, little guys all the way to Eden Hazard, Juan Mata, that you've kind of liked. A couple of people have been kind enough to throw Mane in there with them as well. The little guys, and the Chelsea fans love small, technical, hard-working, honest players like that have got technical skills. And one of the things that we all noticed, and I talked to Billy about this, we've all noticed it, and over the years I've talked to everyone about it. You play, and after 2 or 3 games, the fans go, right, you're one of us. And you can make mistakes, and everyone go, no, that's fine, carry on. You have no idea what that is like, because you have no fear. You have nothing at all. You just think, they've got my back. Every one of them up there, around here, have got my back. And I asked Billy about it, he goes, it was amazing. It's just I've never felt anything like it before. So coming down, the other thing, when I came down from Scotland, really fairly early on in my career with Chelsea, there was a really big game on. We played Manchester City. It was live on television in the UK. We won 2-0. And I had the pundits, which was Bobby Charlton, who was very famous Manchester United and England player, saying he thought I was amazing. And suddenly it gives you that extra ramp as well that you're talking about, because everyone's talking about you, and the kind of belief kind of grows in you. So I kind of know where he is. I know where his head is just now. And it's a place of fans believe in me. Pundits, they're believing in me. Manager, he's believing in me. My teammates, they believe in me because they're giving me the ball all the time. See, if you've got all that, there's only one person left now to believe in you. It's yourself. And Billy does. And so that's why this whole thing together is all pulled together, and it's there already. So I'm really, really delighted for him. I had a wee chat to him. In the Newcastle game earlier in the season, they're up at Newcastle. And I walked down with about a minute to go, and I just bumped into Billy. He was on the bench, and I said to him, you should be on the pitch today. And he went, I went, no, not joking. You should be on that pitch. We need you. And he kind of, quite surprised at it, but absolutely, I'd seen enough of him here. Actually, you're exactly what we need here. And reminded him of it when he made those 2 games in the Liverpool game, etc. And he went, yeah, I remember you saying that. And it was a lovely, lovely moment, because Billy would have known me, because as Billy was growing up, I was the main pundit for BBC television in Scotland. So he would see me as a TV pundit as opposed to a Chelsea player. And it was really nice to walk over and say that to him. And by the way, another one. What a great kid. A lovely kid. And Frank will talk about that all day, what a good kid he is.
So there's another one that Frank has talked a lot about and put a lot of trust in, and has played the second most Premier League minutes, only behind Cesar Azpilicueta. That's Mason Mount, who, whether it looks like he's injured and maybe should be taking a break, the man is one of the hardest working players in the team at the moment. How do you feel he's acclimatized to the Premier League this season, and where do you maybe see him from a best positional standpoint? Because Frank has also applied him everywhere, and it's kind of been the, hey, I need someone to stick in a hole. Mason's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing you actually have that if you're a player, because see if you've only got one position and the best player in the world arrives in that position, you're stuffed. But see if you've got 2 or 3 different positions, it's okay, you can fit, you can do things, and you can help the teams in different ways. And also he's learning his craft in those different areas. What's his best position? Well, I would guess he would tell you it's the 10 behind the striker. So if it was a 4-2-3-1, he'd be the central of the 3. And a 4-3-3, he can be the middle left or the forward left. Those are the positions that he's kind of put in. You'll tend to find that his numbers will be much better when he's forward left. That's where he's arriving best. Really, because he is a mini Frank. Frank, if you just close your eyes and think of Frank's goals that he scored for us, how many of them were arriving from that inside left position, arriving a little bit late? And Mason's got a real ability to do that, and he's clearly learned part of it from Frank as well. He's not as good as Frank at doing it yet, but then I would suggest there never has been anybody as good at Frank doing it. And I don't mean at Chelsea, I mean ever.
Yeah,
very fair.
Anywhere from midfield that is good as Frank at doing that. I was doing a wee analysis. I don't know, trying to remember the age. The game we won 15 years ago against Bolton, we won the league, Mourinho, Clarkey and all that up at Bolton. And I did an analysis of the game, and it was of Frank Lampard, as I would do it now. And it was astonishing the way he arrives and his nose for changing a direction. So the ball's somewhere else. No, they haven't even won possession yet. But he's guessed and gambled you're going to, and starts moving. And you see him get the tap and you go, oh, another easy goal for Frank. No, you need to drive it all the way back to where it happened, where his first movement came from. That's what Mason's learning just now. That's where he's pretty good at the moment. In fact, very, very good. Problem is he's always going to get, but what about Frank? Because that's what Frank did. If you were comparing him to anybody else, he'd be fantastic. But poor guy's getting compared with the best in the business. There's nothing wrong with that, because you keep on lifting. And the lovely thing, of course, Frank is like a mini-me, obviously, and Frank adores him, and Frank can relate to him. So it really, again, like Billy, it really helps that the manager's got your back, the manager believes in you, and the manager understands how you're thinking and can help your thinking as well.
Yeah, obviously he's been so flexible, because it can't be easy to, play in all those different positions and all those different, just responsibilities every time. And so I think that sometimes us as fans, we don't give enough credit to players who get slotted across the front line or the midfield. I mean, he's played as an 8, a 10, like you said, almost a 7 a little bit. And, he's just been all around it. And, you think about all the film and the preparation that goes into it. He's literally starting over almost every week, every other week with his preparation. So I have a lot of, respect for Mason. We got to talk to him too, and he was amazing, so friendly and gracious at this time. Mason's fantastic. And then recently, Mason has grown a mustache. I don't know if you guys have seen that on social media.
Boy, that's tough.
And then called out Tammy Abraham for his lack of facial hair. So it's glad to see the camaraderie is going well. But I'm going to use that to throw it over to Tammy. Pat, you said that he's one of the ones that you said is absolutely, established himself. He's proved it. I guess where else do you go with Tammy? I mean, I'm blown away. What a jump he has made to step up, take the number 9 shirt and run with it for his boyhood club. I mean, this is what dreams are made of.
They are. And you've just kind of seen the start of it. There's so much more to come from Tammy. The physicality stuff is growing. You can just about see it. I think we asked too much of him this season. Mm-hmm. And I think he tired. And then he played through injury. And you start to thinking, oh, he's still a bit willowy. He's a bit thinner than he should be for a really strong centre forward. And then when Giroud comes on the scene and he shows you how to hold the ball up and how good he is at it. But that was, and then I was a tired Tammy that you're remembering that from, when he'd gone through that first period when he was just on fire and he was strong and he was beginning to bully people as a centre forward. That's going to come. It's some players just, you know, I'm sure last time when we were talking about it, I was explaining the difference between him and Dominic Solanke and saying everyone was talking about Solanke coming through, and I was looking and thinking, well, technically, Solanke's not in the same league as Tammy. All the things he was doing, but Solanke was a big, broad guy who could bully his way through. But there comes a time when you need that and you need the technical ability as well. Tammy always had it. So I would always go for that type of player. He's so much to learn. He's going to need some help, you know, as time goes by over the next year or two. You can't stick with a player as a singular number 9 on his own against 2, sometimes 3 big centre-backs, getting knocked about all over the place and ask him to do 60 games a season. It's not really going to work. You're going to get tired, you're going to look weak, and as a player, you'll never turn around and say to the manager, I'm a bit tired now, can you take me out? It doesn't happen, right? It just doesn't happen. As most sportsmen wouldn't even consider it anyway. And that's the right way to be. But the manager needs to know, and he needs to have someone else to bring in. Now, Giroud did it this year, and they might do it for a while longer, who knows? But long term, Tammy's going to have somebody that's going to be able to walk in and stand beside him and do that. You know, sometimes with him, sometimes just, you know, spelling it between them. But not surprised that Tammy scored the goals that he scored. Just a shame that he got, you know, a couple of the injuries. I'm particularly upset by the injury he got when he went into the scoreboard, the advertising boards. It drives me nuts. And I'm a slight dig at Chelsea, but not just Chelsea, but every other club in the league. I have no idea why they build the pitches the way they do now. Because the drop off after the end with plastic surface, you can't stop. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You've got the wrong studs on. It's a drop off. You're going 100 mile an hour. You try and put the studs in there, no chance. You're going down. There's more injuries to happen. There was 2 last season with it. We need to watch out for that. It's a real danger. And I felt it was a shame in Tammy because that was not his fault. That was the design of the field.
Isn't that when he then was just hobbling on and the attacker danced around him because he wasn't really helping, and then we ended up giving up a late goal?
Well, I blame Michi for that one because if you look back what happened, that's well remembered. That's exactly what happened. Tammy, by this point, Michi Batshuayi was on alongside Tammy up front because we were chasing it a bit. And what happens is Tammy runs back into the left back position to give a little bit of cover. No. See, when your mate's injured like that, don't let him do the running. Michi, you do the running. Now, a player, I've no point in my career would have not known to do that. I'd have said, no, you stay there, I'll do it. And I'd have went. Both of them were centre forward at the time. Michi had to tell Tammy, recover. So Michi wasn't being lazy. He just didn't think.
He's just desperate to stay up top because he wants to take his chance so he can get into form and all of that, right? But in that situation, at the expense of the team, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's why it happened. So I had no blame whatsoever attached to Tammy because Tammy worked his socks off to get back there when he wasn't fit enough to get back there.
Yeah.
He couldn't move. You're absolutely right. Well remembered in that situation. But hey, things like that happen. You know, if your biggest weakness is the fact that you're wanting to work too hard, not a bad one, that is it? That's okay. We'll have that.
Speaking of willing to work too hard, Reece James, who I think we can all kind of see as an up and coming star for the club, and a guy who started off injured and then obviously had to work his way back to being fit. Pat, what's your rating on him so far? I mean, besides an immaculate crossing ability.
Yeah, I got better than immaculate. I think I'd actually move it up from there a few grades. I did a thing on a few BBC and things over here. I think his crossing's as good as Beckham. I think it's that good. Beckham, I think Beckham was a really decent player, but he was world-class crosser. I mean, he was as good. That was his USP. That's what he's better at than anything else. Passing was very, very good. He was good at decent free kicks, very good at free kicks, but his crossing was extraordinary. I think Reece is that level. I really do think he's as good as that. And that is saying if you've if you're world class at a certain thing, you'll have a good career. Well, he's world class at that, and by the way, see the other stuff he's got as well. We're just beginning to see little things. Yeah, I look at him, I think you could be the best centre midfielder at the club. Honestly, you stick him in that centre midfield position. The reason why I think it is, you may, if you look through some of the games, he's been chased into the bottom corner, defensively. He's got the ball. He's got 2 and 3 players chasing him down, closing him down. And the most relaxed person at Stamford Bridge is Reece James, thinking, yeah, I've got this. Just dummy, and walks out with the ball. And you think, where did you get that from? You're a right back, for God's sake. The belief, the strength is absolutely extraordinary. Now, if you've got that spatial awareness that he's got, so we see him going forward, crossing, that angle stuff. The spatial awareness stuff is the stuff that I'm only seeing little bits of. You don't see that much from fullbacks because they've got other things to do. Spatial awareness on the ball is absolutely brilliant. Like you see Billy's got it, you see Jorginho's got it, but he's got it in spades as well. So what a player he could be. And it's, I thought there was 1 or 2 weaknesses. He is a bit quicker than I gave him credit for. I haven't watched him really closely now. So, has anyone really done him yet? You'll remember, I'm going to ask all of you because you'll remember. Was it Zaha, the one-on-ones he had against Zaha? Zaha's the best, isn't he? He's the best one-on-one player that probably is in English football just now, up since Hazard left. If you a one-on-one, the last person you want it against is Zaha. Well, he had a whole bunch against Zaha. Zaha never done him. That was a moment.
Zaha got cautioned out of frustration, I'm pretty sure is how that ended for him.
I watch Zaha a lot because I like that type of player. There's certain things about his game that I don't like, but the giveaway is nobody ever leaves him man on man. Every team that plays against him has 2, sometimes 3 on him. That's how important he is to the team, but how good he is as a player. We didn't. We actually just left Reece James on. It was all right. It was a really quite stunning thing to see from a tactical position. And I'll see that because I spent most of my career usually having 2 on me. And sometimes if you're left with 1 on you, you think, party time. Whereas I don't think you get party time against Reece James. You still get a really tough time.
No, he's definitely anti-party. Reece for sure on the pitch. All right, Dan, let's go ahead and wrap this up with a banger, obviously, as we are wildly biased.
Well, you mentioned him earlier, Pat, so you kind of laid the foundation for this, but we had to get your perspective on our countryman a little bit deeper, Christian Pulisic. And even though he's probably been subject to a fair number of injuries this season, we've had a chance to see some pretty special moments. The hat trick, the just kind of some of the ways that he's been able to contribute. So how are you feeling about him as a player, and where do you think maybe he kind of needs to go or improve in the next season?
I think he could be our best player. That's saying a lot. I think he could be Chelsea's best player, purely because the bits that I've seen of him, the technical side of his game is astonishing. The pace is ridiculous, but it's the intelligent pace, the knowing when to make moves. See if we had Cesc Fabregas on the pitch and him, oh my God, just unstoppable. Absolutely. We haven't really got that type of play. We haven't even got David Luiz anymore who could play that pingy ball. His movement off the ball and into space and into areas is just as good as anyone I've seen for years. And he's selfless with it and he's consistent with it. Because I'm at the games, I will look at the whole thing, not just watching it from a television perspective. And I can see the 10 times he's made that run when he was in and we didn't get it to him. And you're thinking, well, wait a minute. If we put a player in there who's got that vision, who starts seeing that ball. Now, you kind of don't need Cesc to do it. You just need somebody who thinks, oh, that's the run he makes. I'll keep putting it in there. So maybe it'll be that Billy learns it or whatever. When he gets that link-up play with somebody, he's extraordinary. We know his skills. His skills are absolutely fantastic as well. I don't know Christian that well. He seems very quiet. And I think a wee bit of strength of personality. I think the lads need to kind of wind him up a wee bit and bring that personality out. But you'll often find There are players that come into a team, and it does take a year for the personality thing to really grow within the group. Some walk in and they're easy, it's fine. Others, it takes a while, and then they feel part of it after a while. He really strikes me as he's one that needed the year. He really did. Next year, if he turned up being our player of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So that's seriously high praise. But I'm struggling to find out what he's not got for pure quality. He could be as effective for us as Eden in a different way, but he needs to really want it. He needs to have the desire for it. And for God's sake, with his American background, I mean, these are a bunch of winners. That's what you do. You know, it's, any team you talk about, you know, there's always this two positions, first and worst. You know, it's got to get that into his head, and that kind of European Germanic background thing, that should actually help him as well, kind of thing, shouldn't it? Because Germans have got this kind of efficient kind of thing going with them. I'm excited about him. Again, do you expect it? Do you all think as highly of him?
If he's healthy, I think it's been hard to really give him an official grade this year because, you know, he went through a little rough patch at the beginning where he wasn't playing, and I think, frankly, you know, didn't have an off season whatsoever. So I think was probably struggling for fitness, just like any other normal human being would do. But yeah, the flashes that you've seen. Like, he was our most dangerous player for a period of 6 weeks when we went on that winning streak, kind of mid-October. And it was fascinating to watch because I think for me, you mentioned that Eden and his styles are so different, and they are. I think most people who expected him to be a like-for-like Eden Hazard replacement are definitely looking at his game differently now. But he was almost too selfless at the beginning and then started shooting, and then maybe he was a little selfish and then scaled it back. And you kind of saw him like integrate slowly into the team. But I found that him and Mason, when they were on the field together on that left side, ended up crowding each other in the box a lot. And so hopefully when they figure out the spacing thing, Dan, like this could be lethal, because the shot that Mason has on him, if he's able to get into space, is going to be game over.
That was definitely where I was too, is that the needing to be a little bit more selfish at times, and then also just the comfortability with the other players on the pitch and knowing who's going to be where, who's going to be there when, and how he's going to be able to connect with them appropriately, Brandon. Those are the two things that, in my mind, are the only two things that hold him back from being, I think, as Pat said, one of the best on our team.
I mean, I think one of the gaps that we did feel like we had is he didn't track back much. I mean, there's obviously differences between him and Willian, but his ability to be so direct, I think it like throws defenders off, because not only will he run at you, he's going to run past you to the goal. And he takes such kind of extreme lines and runs that people are thrown off by that, and they're very uncomfortable because, especially as a defender, you know, he puts them in situations where they don't want to be. And I think that is one of the things that I've come to realize about his game that is so well thought out, is his awareness, kind of, you say, to get in these massively dangerous positions, especially defender on your back. They can't really put in a tackle because, you know, you're probably going to get a pen, go from there. So I've been thrilled watching it. Like you said, a little concerned at the beginning of the season, right? Frank kind of keeping him out of the limelight, not getting any minutes, not getting in the game day squads. And then it all came good. And then you talk about decision-making and bravery from Frank. That was one of the things, like, he knew what Christian needed when everyone else didn't. And he played it perfectly. Obviously, unfortunately, the injuries came later, but it seems to be all upside for me, honestly.
No, I'm pretty excited by watching him as a player. Just disappointed, but don't blame any of it on him. I think injuries, as you said, both of you said the preseason was hard for him as well. Fitting into a new group. The new group obviously was learning about each other, all those things. If I put all that together and his capabilities, the money that Chelsea paid, that was a gigantic amount of money for Chelsea to play. Hey, and I still think that's perfectly worth it. I'm really comfortable with the money we paid for him. So I know not all Chelsea fans, because you cannot help but thinking, well, Eden was the last guy there. And I understand that, but he isn't Eden. And that's, any footballer will tell you that. And it's happened to us all. I can remember coming to Chelsea and people going, oh, you're the new Charlie Cook. I'm thinking, actually, I don't play anything like Charlie Cook. It's happened to play in a similar-ish position.
Yeah.
And I happen to be Scottish too. And I remember going to Everton and, oh, you're the new Trevor Stephen. I'm thinking, I'm nothing like him.
Do your scouting report.
You're not, and sometimes they want you then to try and fit into this, and sometimes fans do, sometimes management do, but let them be their own players, because they always will in the end be their own players. It's like Tammy might be the new Didier. Best being the new Tammy, just being him, because if you can take some good stuff off of Didier, hold it up and get that strength and that power, I just get a feeling, I hope it's this season, see after the summer, whenever it happens. I think one summer he's going to walk back in, you're going to go, where's Tammy? Who are you?
Yeah.
He's going to be powered up.
Have him hang out with Ross.
Pardon?
Yeah.
He needs to hang out with Ross Barkley. He's always hitting the weights and just looking cut. Gaz Cahill was always jacked. Remember, he had the sleeveless training tops and he'd flex hard.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point about Ross, because Ross really changed his physique. Ross didn't look that sculpted when he was at Everton. I have to tell you. And then his first little period at Chelsea, he wasn't that sculpted. And then he had a few ups and downs, as we know. And then he came back and he looked nailed. Honestly, he was running differently physically. It's amazing how half a stone or 8 pounds, or how many kilos you call it. He'd make a massive, massive difference. So, and I noticed it with him. And I think it can just happen. There's a couple of players over the years have watched it happen with. It can have a downside because it can slow you down if you become over-muscled. But with some other players, it's really what you need. And I suspect and hope will happen with Tammy.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, a lot of promise in this youth development section, which is so exciting for Chelsea. Young, attacking, energetic squad, and we've seen the bright spots of it. Obviously, with being young, you're going to have some of the learnings along the way, but again, I don't think we can have too many complaints where we stand right now. So